paranormal experiences don't really work to a timescale, and therefore we invite you to listen to a Dark Minisode. Hello everyone, and welcome back to another minisode for season 16. It's hard to believe that next week's minisode will be our final one of this season, and the time has literally gone nowhere. But I do think I've learned the most personally from this season, from all the seasons we've done, in terms of new paranormal phenomena. So for that, I'm both over the moon and indebted to each and every one of you who've sent in your experiences for season 16. And please don't forget, we're always receiving submissions, irrelevant of length. If your submission ends up on season 17, excellent. If it ends up on a minisode, brilliant. And if it ends up on our Dark Bite show as a shorter experience, then amazing, because we simply want to build a catalogue of your paranormal experiences. I mentioned to our Patreons this week how this show seems to have gone from just a show about the paranormal to something that may be almost an archive of real-life phenomena that's happening today in 2024. And therefore, in the way I look very fondly back at my youth as a child, going to section 133 of the Dewey reference section in the library, in order to find out anything I could on the paranormal, well, podcasting might be that for the younger generation. Your experience might influence someone to lead a life down a, let's say, off the beaten path track. Not only that, but as has been mentioned by many a submitter in the past, they've found that listening to other people going through similar experiences has been really helpful for them, to let them know they're not alone, they're not going mad, and my point being that your experience may do a lot more than simply sending it in to a podcast. It could literally change numerous lives. So if you have a true paranormal experience, please take the time to sit down and send it over to thedarkparanormal.com. And if you are waiting for a nudge from the universe about whether you should send it or not, consider this that nudge. Send in your experience and potentially help somebody else going through similar things. Once more, that's thedarkparanormal.com. Now, sometimes I receive an email into that email box and I kind of have to take a second look to make sure I've read what I think I've read. And that's certainly the case for our next minisode. It only came in recently, but when I read a certain part of the email, that was when I done my double take. Because it's not every day you receive an email from somebody who has hit the number one position in both the Billboard Top 100 in America and the UK charts. But that's the case for today's submitter. Today's submitter is none other than the still active 60s group, the Tornadoes, who had a number one hit in the 60s with a song called Telstar. Now, if you go and listen to that song, I guarantee you will recognise it. Tristan wrote, "Hi, my name is Tristan, and I live in Kings Lynn, a small town on the east of Norfolk. We listen to your podcast during our late-night drives from concert performances. I play the drums in the 60s pop group, the Tornadoes, and it gets me through what can be up to a 4-hour drive late at night. I appreciate this may not be long enough to feature as a main podcast, but nonetheless, I hope you enjoy it. Tristan." And so, this is Tristan's account. I've been an avid listener of the Dark Paranormal podcast for the past year, tuning in every week to immerse myself in the chilling tales of the unknown. Each episode captivates me with eerie stories of ghostly encounters, unexplained phenomena, and the supernatural, making me feel a connection to a community that shares my fascination with the mysterious. The haunting narratives and the spine-tingling accounts have become a staple in my weekly routine, often leaving me with a lingering sense of both wonder and unease. Inspired by those brave souls who've shared their own experiences, I finally decided to put pen to paper and write down my story and submit it for the podcast. My encounters with the paranormal have been both terrifying and intriguing. Events that have left an indelible mark on my life. Listening to the podcast has been a source of solace, knowing that others have faced similar, inexplicable occurrences. I'm eager to contribute my tale to this incredible anthology of real-life ghost stories, hoping to resonate with fellow listeners and perhaps provide a glimpse into the strange and otherworldly moments I've experienced. Here is my story, an account of my own brush with the darkness that lies beyond the veil of our everyday reality. Back in 2012, when I was 40 years old, I'd never given any thought to the paranormal. But that was about to change. It was a cold, bleak winter on a Thursday evening when my band gathered for rehearsal in the upstairs room of an old music shop. The shop, East Coast Music, nestled in the quiet corner of the town of Kings Lynn, Norfolk, had its own eerie charm with its creaking wooden floors and dimly lit aisles, lined with vintage instruments. The air was thick with the scent of aged wood and the faint, musty smell of forgotten sheet music. As we climbed the narrow staircase to our rehearsal room, the temperature seemed to drop, sending shivers down our spines. The upstairs space was a large, open room with exposed beams and one single flickering light bulb that would cast long, dancing shadows on the walls. The windows were covered with thick, dusty curtains that barely kept out the howling wind, which would occasionally find its way in, causing those same curtains to rustle eerily. We set up our instruments and we began to play, the music echoing through the empty shop below. Despite the warmth of our practice, an unsettling feeling hung in the air, as if we were not alone. The shadows seemed to shift and move in the corners of the room, and a mysterious chill would occasionally sweep over us, causing the hairs on the back of our necks to stand on end. Little did we know, but this night would be unlike any other, as the spirits of the old music shop were about to make their presence known. Today's show is sponsored by Acorns. Now, one of the things which I always got wrong is I believed that investment was for other people. The sort of people who have a finance degree and use phrases like buy low, sell high. And I don't have a finance degree and I don't use phrases like that. And I also thought that you needed a lot of money to start investing, but that's not the case. Acorns makes it easy to start automatically saving and investing for you, for your kids, for your retirement. You don't need a lot of money or expertise to invest with Acorns. In fact, you can get started with just your spare change. Acorns recommends an expert-built portfolio that fits you and your money goals, then automatically invests your money for you. And now Acorns is putting their money into your future. Open an Acorns Later IRA and get up to a 3% match on new contributions. That's extra money for your retirement. I'm 45 and not thinking about retirement, but I really should be, and that's why I'm glad places like Acorns exist, because it's a genuine relief to know there are a team of experts waiting to help guide you through that formerly scary world of investment. Head to acorns.com/dark paranormal or download the Acorns app to start saving and investing for your future today. Paid non-client endorsement. Compensation provides incentive to positively promote Acorns. Investment involves risk. Acorn Advisors LLC, an SEC registered investment advisor. View important disclosures at acorns.com/dark paranormal. Let's have a quick break to talk to you about Policy Genius. There are many things you can put off in life, and life insurance was certainly one of those things for me. I literally only got mine last year. But it turns out I'm not alone, because over 40% of people wish they got life insurance much younger than the age they did. And why don't we do it earlier? Well, you think it's all red tape and forms, but Policy Genius helps you get the life insurance you need fast, because they know you want to get on with your life. And to be perfectly honest, I have a peace of mind I did not expect by getting life insurance. With Policy Genius, you can find life insurance policies that start at just $292 per year for $1 million of coverage. Some options offer same-day approval and avoid unnecessary medical exams. Policy Genius is set up in such a way it saves you time every step of the process. It lets you compare quotes from America's top insurers, meaning it takes just a few clicks to find your lowest price. Policy Genius is the country's leading online insurance marketplace, giving you unbiased advice from a licensed expert support team. They also have no incentive to recommend one insurer over another, so you can trust their guidance. And the thousands of 5-star reviews on Trustpilot and Google, well, they kind of prove that point, so don't put off life insurance, make it easy with Policy Genius. Head to policygenius.com or click the link in the description to get your free life insurance quote. See how much you could save. That's policygenius.com. I also played as part of a tribute band, channeling the energy and spirit of The Jam and Paul Weller. As the drummer, my kit was positioned opposite Johnny, our bass player, who stood poised at the top of the stairs with the stairs to his right, his fingers idly plucking at the strings. Rob, embodying Paul Weller, and Steve on guitar were both lost in the music, and our rehearsal was like a rhythmic communion with the past. It was during a brief pause between songs that Johnny froze. Did you see that? He stammered, his voice a strained whisper. We all turned to look at him, confused. But his eyes were fixed on the far corner of the room, where the shadows seemed to be writhing and twisting in the flickering light. What is it, Johnny? I asked, my voice wavering. He pointed a trembling finger towards where the stairs were, so we all turned to look. A figure, Johnny whispered, his voice trembling as his eyes darted nervously to the shadowed staircase beside him. I saw it. A figure came up the stairs and stood right next to me. His words hung heavy in the air, heavy with fear. As we turned to where he was looking, the staircase, bathed in dim light, seemed to swallow the shadows, making it impossible to see anything clearly. But Johnny's terror was palpable. He continued, his voice now a strained whisper. It was tall, shrouded in darkness. I could feel its presence, cold and oppressive, like it was sucking all the warmth out of the room. A shiver ran down my spine as I tried to peer into the blackness, my mind racing. We all strained our ears, listening out for any sound that might confirm Johnny's sighting. But the silence was deafening, broken only by the occasional creak of the old building settling. Are you sure? One of us asked. But the question itself sounded hollow, even to my ears. Johnny nodded, his face ashen. I felt it leaning close, like it was watching me, breathing down my neck. The fear in his voice was unmistakable. As we stood there, frozen in place, An overwhelming sense of dread washed over us. That staircase, once just part of the old shop, now felt like a portal to something sinister. All of the shadows seemed to deepen, and the temperature dropped further. I'd been watching Johnny and saw nothing but the creeping shadows cast by the flickering bulbs. "There's nothing there, Johnny," I said, trying to sound reassuring, despite the prickle of unease crawling up my spine. My words felt hollow, my own words betraying me as the shadows continued to dance and shift in the corners of the room. Johnny's eyes widened with desperation, his breath coming in quick, shallow gasps. "No, I swear, it was right there," he insisted, pointing at the dark staircase. It came up the stairs, slowly, like it was gliding, and then it just stood next to me, watching. A cold sweat broke out on my forehead as Johnny's fear seeped into my bones. This old music shop seemed to hold its breath, the silence pressing down on us like a physical weight. The flickering bulbs cast long, eerie shadows that twisted and contorted with every flutter of the light, creating monstrous shapes that just fed our growing terror. "Johnny, maybe it was just your imagination," I tried again, clearly a quiver in my voice. But even as I spoke, I could feel the temperature drop, a bone-chilling cold seeping into the room. By now, Johnny's hands were trembling, and his usual steady demeanour shattered. "I swear I saw someone," he insisted, his eyes wide with terror and fixed on that staircase. To break the tension, I suggested, "How about a coffee break? Let's all just have a breather." Everyone seemed to agree, needing a moment to shake off the eerie encounter. I descended the creaky stairs, and the oppressive silence of the old music shop was heavy around me. As I reached the ground floor, I glanced back up the staircase. And for a split second, I thought I saw a pair of glowing eyes staring back at me from the darkness. In the small kitchenette, the fluorescent light cast harsh shadows against the floor from the half-open door, the shop's darkened interior lit only by the faint glow of security lights. The hum of the refrigerator was the only sound, a stark contrast to the unnerving silence upstairs. "Johnny, what are you having to drink?" I called out, trying to break the suffocating tension. "Tea," came his reply, the word echoing slightly in the cavernous space, reverberating off the old wooden walls. "Steve, how about you?" I asked, my voice wavering as I tried to keep things normal. "Coffee!" Steve shouted from upstairs, his voice sounding distant and strained. Then, out of the corner of my eye, I saw Rob walk past the kitchen area door. His silhouette moved with a purpose that was so real I didn't question it. "Rob, what are you having, mate?" I asked, leaning out of the kitchen door. "Tea, please," came the reply. But it wasn't from the figure I'd just seen. It was from upstairs, where Rob was still standing. And that is where we'll leave Tristan's minisode for now. Because next week, for our final minisode of Season 16, we will round off this season of minisodes by rounding off Tristan's terrifying experience. I'll next speak to you all again on Friday for our penultimate episode of Season 16, and until then, stay safe and take care.